AMD brought back some genuine high-end desktop mojo with the release of the Threadripper CPUs. They offer lots of compute-centric performance and, handily, for a high-end platform, a massive amount of I/O on which you can hang numerous high-speed devices. Building boards on Threadripper's platform, known as TR4, is limited to just a handful of vendors, with AMD wanting to ensure that those companies in charge of TR4 board production know what they're doing. MSI is naturally on the list and has one board, the Gaming Pro Carbon AC, available right now. TR4 boards aren't, by their very nature, cheap. Maximizing upon the CPU's peripheral potential and building around that huge, 4094-pin socket and 8 DIMM slots requires solid research and development. MSI tips its hat into the ring with the Gaming Carbon Pro AC, priced at £325 or so. That may sound expensive on first glance, but it is considered to be at the lower end of the TR4 scale, so let's see what you get. 8 DIMM slots, running in quad-channel mode, sandwich that huge socket. Keeping costs in check, there is no fancy RGB lighting behind them, a lot ORS, and LEDs are limited to 4 sections, the larger CPU heatsink, around the audio section, on the south bridge, and underneath the SATA ports. If you want more, there are 2 4-pin header for RGB LED light strips, and in a move that is gaining traction, the heatsink covers can be changed. MSI, too, is jumping on the 3D printed bandwagon. Speaking of heatsinks, the limited board space means that MSI goes tall, really tall, on the 2 that surrounded the CPU socket. That said, there's no problem in mounting TR4 compatible coolers. Going strong and also continuing recent trend, the DIMM and C slots are all strengthened. As usual, these high-end boards require 2 EPS cables on tops of the main 24-pin, so make sure that your SU is up to the task. There's also an additional 6-pin connector for specific extra power to the C slots. MSI says it employs a 13-phase power regulation circuitry in order to aid stability, especially when running overclocked. Given the amount of high-performance gear you can install, MSI adds 6 4-pin fan headers around the board, all located in sensible areas. A key driver of the TR4 platform is the flexibility arising from having a CPU with 64 C lanes on tap. MSI uses these to power 4 X16C graphics slots, offer a trio of M.2, only one is the super long 22110 form factor, in between, and then add a further 2 X1C. This means the board supports 4-way SLI and Crossfire, but even Threadripper cannot run the full complement of C and M.2 without making some compromises, though MSI doesn't make clear the reduction in protocol speeds when everything is populated. We reckon 2 of the 4 CX16 slots run at X8 electrically. In keeping with a recent trend, the M.2 slots, riding off the C bus but also supporting older SATA, have specific heatsinks in order to stop the drives overheating and reducing performance. Speaking of SATA, MSI also provides 8 regular ports, meaning that storage really isn't an issue with this board. X399 is a good case of packing as many features as possible. MSI manages this on a standard-sized ATX board. To the designer's credit, even with so much going on, it doesn't feel overly cramped. Said features include the now obligatory debug LED, onboard buttons, an OC knob offering multi-position easy overclocking, keep turning for higher speeds, a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C connector next door, and a gaggle of fan headers. It's sensible that MSI puts everything down here as there are no obstructions if using multiple long graphics cards. Coming across the board and keeping the specs flowing, this best-of-breed MSI continues to use Audio 4 Boost technology in concert with Nahimic 2 software. Underlying the hardware is the popular ALC 1220 codec that almost everyone uses, so we consider this offering to be on a par with ASUS, Gigabyte, et al. Another tried and tested solution is found with respect to USB connectivity. ASMedia's 3142 chipset offers both a Type A and Type C, non-compatible, Gen 2 port on the rear, underneath the single LAN, and these right off the C bus and hook up to the X399 chipset. The processor, meanwhile, has its own array of storage goodness, meaning the 2 columns of 4 read-colored ports all run USB 3.1 Gen 1, or USB 3.0 by another name. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe.